Happy Monday, everybody. Welcome to another Good Gas Monday session with me, Krystal Tomlinson. I hope you're all doing well. And I hope this is a good time for you. While Zia has her dinner, I am using the opportunity to jump on. Quick update. She's able to feed herself in her full meals now, like not even just a portion, like pick and then say she give up and she needs some help, which is really her way of saying, I don't want to do this anymore. This is hard work. She's now feeding herself in full. So I have her in sight and in view. So I'm really maximizing this window now, right, while she has her dinner, to jump on for the Good Guest Monday session and share with you a prompt that I received from the book of the month that I'm reading now. I'm actually a little behind on this because this should have been my June read. And it's Professional Troublemaker by Lovey Ajayi Jones. And if you've never heard of her, New York Times best-selling author twice. Her first best-selling book was I'm Judging You. And that did really well. And then the Professional Troublemaker is like a follow-up book to her first bestseller. And I just find it to be a timely read. Sometimes we read books that aren't necessarily telling us something brand new, right? It's not something that I had not known before, not thought of before. But it's a timely read because it's a reminder, and the way she writes is in very frank language. And it's almost like a, pull yourself up by the bootstraps, get your shit together, start making excuses, and start moving and doing what you know you need to do from a position of principle, right? And then, of course, for those who need a little more hand-holding and explanation as to why these prompts are coming out in her book, there's that too. So I'd encourage you to read it wherever you are on the journey, whether you are brand new to fear fighting. I know I'm the kill fear queen, right? So whether you are brand new to fear fighting, or you just need a reminder, you need a little jolt, a little stick in the side to kind of straighten up and get things on again, which is usually the kind of book I need at the mid-year point when the fatigue is setting in and you would have gone really hard in the first half of the year, and you're trying to shift gears and find that second level of energy and focus and commitment. So I deliberately put that as my summer read because I know what I usually need in the summer. Yes, I want to kind of take a breath and relax a little bit, but I'm also looking for a new gear, right? So good pick. I like that pick. So there's a section in her book that talks about friendships and the fear we have around building connections and starting new friendships, especially when you are middle-aged and older. You feel like the horse has gone through the gate. Like if you don't have good friends already, it's kind of too late for that, right? So she challenges that perspective, especially persons who have been burnt and hurt by friends. The no new friends narrative, or the only one friend, or no new friend at this age, no more friends, and just kind of blocking the opportunity to build new connection. She really challenges that perspective and talks a lot about squadding, or what she calls squadding up. So I really leaned into that chapter and the lessons there and went a little deeper, like I needed to understand. Yes, baby? Okay, I'll get her soon. So finish up your dinner and then we can go and get her. All right? Okay. Right, I really wanted to dig into that a little bit more, to figure out why are friend groups so important? Why is a squad so essential? What are the things that we should be looking out for as we're building a squad? And what are the things we should look for when we are curating, cleaning up, auditing the squad that we have? So one of the famous writings and quotes on this is from Jim Rohn. You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. But so many people have spoken about the impact of friends and friend groups and social circles on our ability to be successful. It should really be a duh at this point that your friendships are going to inspire you or cause you to feel expired, right? Like there is no more, it makes no sense, I'm at the limit, need to stay in my box. It should really be a duh moment right now. But we don't spend a lot of time talking about the value of friendships beyond I need a good friend because I've had so many bad ones, or I've given up on friendships because I can't find good people that I can trust. Part of that process of auditing friendships requires you to audit yourself. So let us start there. Who am I in my friendships? Am I a good friend? Am I giving what I seek to get out of those relationships? But if you are, settled in your mind that you are prepared to do what it takes to offer and extend good friendship to others, the next phase for you is really looking to see who would be a good pick for you as a friend. So some of the thoughts on this that I find to be very helpful. One of them is a Japanese proverb that says, when the character of a man is not clear to you, look to his friends. When the character of a man is not clear to you, look to his friends. What does that mean? In Jamaican culture, your grandparents will say often, show me your friends and I'll tell you who you be. Show me your friends and I will tell you who you are. And it doesn't mean that the friends you have now are a reflection. It doesn't only mean that the friends you have now are a reflection of who you are now. What it also means is the friends you have now are a reflection of who you are likely to become. And when I was younger, I missed that part of the lesson. I thought my mother was telling me that if I kept friendships alive with people who didn't do well in school, it meant I was not doing well in school. That's not true. I'm doing excellent in school, and I have friends who are not doing excellent in school. So clearly, showing you my friends do not tell you who I am, because see, they use curse words and I don't use curse words, right? They do A and I don't do B, and I thought that the fact that I didn't do those things in the moment meant that I was living the opposite of that principle, that I could show you my friends and you still would not know who I am, because they might be doing other things that I am not doing, right? There are points that we connect on, but it's not everything them do me I go do. And I missed the other part of that. Sahara says birds of a feather flock together, right? So I thought that I had to have the same feathers if that were to be true. So if they have blue feathers and I have white feathers and we are friends, clearly we're not of a feather. We have different feathers and we still find a way to be friends. What I was missing was the other component inside that principle or that proverb, which was, you will also become those people. So at this time, you may be different, but show me who they are and I can tell you who you will become. And that I learned as I grew older, that there was another face to that proverb that I had missed. So yes, show me who your friends are and I'll tell you who you are in the moment. The things you're comfortable doing with them tells me your character. But even if at this point there is not that clear synergy, whoever they are, I can tell you that that's who you will become. And that's what this Japanese proverb is really saying. Whenever you doubt the character of a man, if that's not clear to you, look at his friends. It will tell you what he holds as values and principles, or what he will soon have as values and principles. I don't know if that has been true for you, where you missed that component of the proverb. You can let me know if I'm the only one who saw it at face value. But it took me a while to learn that. And I'm glad I learned it, right? So yes, show me your friends. I'll tell you who you are in the moment. But also show me your friends and I will tell you who you will become, because they will rub off on you. The other perspective on this came from Robin Sharma. You become your conversations. You will think like your associations, and your life will look a lot like the people you spend most of your time with. You become your conversations is the big point of this reflection from Robin Sharma for me, because we know words create thoughts. Thoughts create desires. Desires themselves become habits and actions, which compound to equal your character, your life. So I absolutely believe that you will become your conversations, which means that you have to watch who you're talking to. Because if they can't offer you a level of conversation, a level of insight, a level of wisdom, you will become the cap of whatever that collective wisdom is. And so we ought to be looking for people in our friend groups who are wiser than us, who have more experience than us, who have a few years on us, who have gathered a few bruises and know some things that we do not know. And we've heard this said as well, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room, because you should be in a room where you can learn. Finish up, baby. It is. Right, so you will become those conversations. So who are the people you're having conversations with? Like, they're not able to teach you anything. There's no divergence in thought. There is pure sameness. You're all interested in all the same things and agree on every single thing. That's sometimes an indication that we should be auditing the squad, because you ought rightly to be surrounding yourself by people who can help you to level up. And that comes from them having an edge that you don't have, having a perspective that you don't have, having experience that you don't have, so you can be sharpened and so you can grow. So that jumped out for me from Robin Sharma. You become your conversations. And so I have to challenge myself to be in conversation with, to learn from, to sit at the feet of people who know more than me, who can add something to a reasoning that I had not considered, and to really be open to hearing that perspective. And where necessary, seeing what in that perspective could teach me something that I on my own had not considered. So being open to learning. It's hard to learn from people that you don't trust, right? Which is why it's so important to pick the right people in your circle. And then the other thing is really my perspective on friendships. I believe your peeps can be the difference between you standing in your potential and standing in your purpose. And I'll say that again. I think your peeps, your paris, can be the difference. They are part of what makes the difference between you standing in your potential and standing in your purpose. Because friends are fuel, and they are fueling different things. And one of the things I challenge myself to ask and answer honestly, I would also offer to you as a challenge to ask yourself and answer it honestly. What do your friendships and your social connections normalize? What do your friendships and social connections inspire? What do your friendships and social connections agree on as a standard? Because that could be the difference between standing in your potential, what I can do, what I may become, what God has put on my heart, and actually accomplishing those goals, actually taking steps towards that particular ambition, actually standing in your purpose. And I can give you a very real example. Build Boss Brands just commented, friends are fuel. So that account is run by my manager, Stacia Davidson. And if you are part of my community, you know Stacia, my friend. Like not F-R-I-E-N-D, for like my friend, F-R-E-N, like for short it and get to the point. She is my friend, right? And Stacia has been one of those examples. Yes, Bobby? All right, finish up. Just have a few more and then I'll come and get it from you, okay? Just have a little more. Ty, just sit right there and finish up as well. He's coming back, Zizi. So finish up. Both of you finish up. All right? Yes, Stacy has been a perfect example of what that means. Friends becoming your fuel. She is one of those friends who believed in me from day one. And day one, I never nothing pretty, right? No, I think that day one was me coming out of the oyster as a pearl. Day one was raw potentiality. If you're Jamaican, you know that song. I have a promise. I have a possibility. I have a promise. Yeah. So, from that point of potential, she saw Krystal. She already saw the Krystal who was delivering trainings across borders. She already knew that Krystal had the capacity to move from or to operate in Jamaica and then also be able to flip and move into a North American cultural context that was not, or way of doing things and still slay, right? She always knew that. I did not always know that. And so it was important to have Stacia with me as a friend, fueling me, challenging some of the limiting beliefs I had around what I could do, challenging me to believe that there is more in this space to ask of the people you're working with, Krystal. There is more that you can commit to, Krystal. There is deeper you can go here, Krystal. And to really encourage me and enable me. So it's one thing to encourage and like say, you can do it, but also to be an enabler for me to take myself seriously, start operating professionally. And I would not be where I am in my profession had it not been for Stasia. Stasia said, I don't want to cry tonight. I mean, tears are good, right? It's the language of the heart. So let me hear what your heart has to say. What's that with the photos of you crying? I need to see raw tears in your hand. That's what I'm collecting. But yeah, friends can be your fuel. And I genuinely believe, it is my honest opinion, I live it, I experience it, and I encourage people to take it that seriously, that your people, your circle, can and are part of the deciding factor between whether or not you're standing just in your potential. Boy, I see it in you, I see it in you, I see it in you. And actually standing in your purpose, encouraging you to take action, helping you to strategize, and enabling you to move and do what you need to do. So I ask that you think deeply about the friendships you have, your perspective on friendships, believing that you do not need any at all, because you're missing out on the magic of that fuel that comes through friendships. Friends are the family that you choose. And this is where you get to test what you really stand for. This is where you get to measure your own discernment and your own wisdom and awareness. This is how you know what you really stand for, the people who you allow to have access to you through friendships. So when friendships deteriorate, I encourage you to reflect first on yourself, right? Because our friendship going south isn't something that happened because one person was just possessed by the devil. Where's your accountability in that? Because you would have had to choose and acquiesce to giving this person access to you. What wisdom did you use in making that choice? Were you bypassing the gut feelings and moving past things which were clear breaches of barriers and boundaries so you could maintain access to this person? What was it that caused you to override the instinct that should have been guiding that decision making around friendship? Where were you, like, emotionally? Sometimes we are operating from positions of trauma and lack, and just believing that this is what we will always have because it is what we've always had, not trusting that anybody can love us better and treat us better than these friends and these people. And so we stay in those spaces because we don't believe we deserve better. And when the friendship deteriorates, could it be that the start of that friendship came out of you believing that you deserved a bad friend, that you deserved a friend who would not show up for you, but that you would break your back to show up for all the time? A friendship where you had no needs and they had all the needs and you were just showing up and fulfilling those needs. You have to ask yourself those questions. So maybe when I was younger, right? But now, with my level of awareness, if you ask me about any of my friendships, any that would have deteriorated over the years, that people I don't stay in touch with, you'll sooner hear me tell you about me and my culpability than discussing that person. And that's because I know friendships are partnerships, and we both enter into them with agreements. And I have an obligation to make sure that I honor my agreements to you, but I also have an obligation to assess and measure, discern, and be wise about whether or not you're doing the same thing, so I don't overcome it and overextend. So I encourage you to take responsibility for the friendships, even the ones that have deteriorated, and see what is in there for you to learn from them. You all know I'm an advocate for that, right? Believing that everything that is a challenge, a hardship, hurt, is meant to teach us something. The obstacle is meant to show us where we are stuck in ourselves, right? Where we are making mistakes, where we are in need of growth and greater clarity. So even there, I will sooner tell you about what I did or failed to do before I discuss anybody else and their shortcomings, because I know that I have a role to play in building good friendships, but also when friendships do not last. So I wanted to share with you from a psychological perspective now, because I don't want you to think that this is just a Krystal perspective. The research has been done around how friendships determine the direction of your life. Now, when we think about friendships, there's a powerful research that was done by Simon Ash, and it was done in the 1950s. It's called the conformity experiment. And what it spoke to was social influence. Now, social influence, by definition, I'm just going to read the verbatim definition here: the way in which individuals change their ideas and their actions to meet the demands of a social group, a perceived authority, to fit a social role, or a minority within a group that's wielding influence over the majority. So, go again. the way in which individuals change their ideas and their actions to meet the demands of a social group, as the short definition. So as much as we believe ourselves to be independent thinkers and, owners and authors of our own destiny, and choosing for ourselves all the time with that sort of independent lens, I can't be influenced, I'm not a press button, people can't bully me. As much as we believe that, and that may well be true in many instances, none of us, because we are social creatures and so designed to care about our social group, so designed to want to fit in, so designed for people to want people to like us and accept us, we are going to be influenced. Take a breath, especially if you are one of those big bad and bold, I'm an alpha male or an alpha female, nobody can tell me what to do. I just want you to know the fact that you're wearing shorts, you're being influenced. Women, the fact that you're wearing bras, you're being influenced. I'm just telling you, right? I tell you. Like, the fact that you feel like you need to get up and comb your hair, you're being influenced. That's the social group influencing. The fact that you believe that polishing your nails is a marker of being put together and snatched, you are being influenced by your social group. You want to fit in and you don't want to be rejected. I'll tell you a funny story. Not a funny story, a funny research, right? How they got people to start brushing their teeth with toothpaste, because that's not something we used to do. How they got people to do that was to use social influence, causing people to think very squarely on this idea that others, when you talk to them, walk away with an opinion about how your breath smells. Like all along, people were walking up and down with the taste of their breath in their mouth and they did not care. But the minute those ads started to go out about what the other person thought after, toothbrush starts sell every variation of toothbrush, toothpaste starts sell every variation of toothpaste, mouthwash, floss. I mean, the dental profession just moved from 0 to 100 real quick because we can't afford other people to have those opinions about us and we want to fit in. We don't want to be rejected and judged. So if this is the thing that gets me to fit in, let me conform and brush my teeth twice a day, or at least twice a day after every meal is the recommendation, right? And when you go in the supermarket, you're looking for the toothpaste. We have the Max Fresh, right? The Super Strips, all kind of something in there because social pressure. It's social pressure. So I say again, Royal Dental District says I joined at the right time. So no matter what you think about your ability to live beyond and above the influence, 100% of the time, you're actually not. You're actually not. Social pressure exists and you will be influenced. You will change and set, refine, reject ideas, behaviors, beliefs to conform. Now, that's not necessarily an unhealthy thing, but I wanted to share that research, that Ash conformity experiment. And it looked at a couple of things. So in the 1950s, a researcher, Ash, conducted a research on conformity. So he wanted to find out how far did this social influence thing go, other people's ability to get us to conform. Yes, baby? Okay, sure, you can go ahead. Ty, you can turn the light on for her, please. So Ash wanted to figure out just how far social... come and turn on the light for her for me, Ty. Ty? This one. This light. This one? No, in the restroom. Thanks. You can go ahead, baby. Tell me when you're finished and I'll come. So Ash wanted to figure out just how much of an impact social groups had, or social influence had, on our behavior and our ability to make decisions. For us to do what we know is right versus walking with the crowd even though we know the crowd is doing the wrong thing. So here's what Ash did. Shared some photographs of 3 lines. And then he used one line as like a benchmark and then 3 other lines and asked the participants, which of these lines are best aligned? Yes, baby? Coming, guys. All right, so let me do a quick check here. Is Stassi still on? Stassi, I'd love to make you moderator because I feel like I may have to do some jumping in and jumping out. So if you're okay with that, let me know if you're still on. And I'll do that. 1 sec again, guys. All right, so let me just start over there. Sorry, guys, I have forgotten to unmute. So I was sharing about the conformity research that was done in the 1950s by a researcher by the name of Ash, who wanted to measure just how impactful social influence was in our decision-making processes. And so he showed people 3 lines on a piece of paper, so a short, a middle, and a tall or long line. And then he had a 4th line, and he asked them, which of those 3 lines are the same height as this one? So for argument's sake, let's say the middle-sized line was the same as this 4th line that he was showing them. And it was clear, right? So in the first few rounds, oh dear, I lost my audio for real. Is it good now? Is my audio good now? Take a little off of it. The audio is back. Oh, so somebody said just sign off and sign back on. So like exit the live and then rejoin the live and your audio should be good. All right, sound is good now. All right. So he showed them the lines and asked them, well, which of this particular sample line that I'm showing you, which of the 3 does it best align with or measure against as the same height? And so in the first round, everybody got it right because it was very clear that it was line number B that was the same height as this additional line. Now, what the researchers did know was to put some other people in there who were part of the experiment, and they were told to pick the wrong height, right? So there were 3 lines, short, medium, tall, and the sample line was the same height as the medium line, and everybody picked either the short one or the tall one and said it was the same height. And what they found happening is that across the board, people who knew what the right thing was became influenced by the majority saying the wrong answer. And so they sat there and they knew that it was the wrong answer, but they still said the wrong answer because they wanted to conform. But there were two types of conformity that emerged. All done? Okay, good work. We're going to play quietly, right? Good. You're going to play on the deck? So there were two types of conformity that emerged. The informational conformity, where some people actually believed that the group was right. So they started to doubt what they were seeing and believed that the group was right and said yes to what the group was saying. But then there was what we call a normative conformity, where they were sure that the group was wrong and they still said the wrong answer. Now, years have passed since that study, and people have replicated it in different ways to find that it is still the same. People will see something and believe it to be the right thing, but doubt themselves and go with the default, which is what the majority has to say, because they believe deep down that so many people can't be wrong, right? Maybe I am the person who is wrong, so let me trust the majority in this way. That sort of informational conformity, where we are believing through social proof that if everybody does this thing, it must be the right thing, is what makes it so crucial that you pick the right friend groups. Because if everybody in the group is leaning to a particular principle, you will want to trust them in the decision making, because the majority can be wrong all the time. You will cede your own wisdom to the wisdom of the group. It happens in classrooms when we're voting for the class prefect. It happens in general elections when we're voting for political candidates. When you ask people why they have made a particular decision, they will open their mouths and tell you that they're voting on issues. But if you really watch the pattern of behavior, they're just voting how everybody else says they're voting. And they want to conform. So whatever looks most popular, whatever looks like that's the direction people are going in, you'll find that the voting behavior matches that popularity pattern. And that's why social proof, especially in marketing, is so important. That's why influencers have such a big role to play now in the budget for marketers, because that matters. What people I trust say works, I'm going to believe that it works, and I'm going to go with their wisdom, especially in a moment of doubt. What's this product? I've never used it. I don't know if it actually does what it says it's going to do. If I had nobody's wisdom to lean on, I would just leave it alone. But if the majority, the group I believe that overwhelmingly, they must be making sensible decisions, right? If they say it works, I will choose it. So that's the informational conformity that happens in social groups. And so we have to be careful that we're choosing people who have the right principles that are guiding the decisions that we believe to be correct. They have the right values that are underpinning the behavior that we are about to model. Otherwise, you lean in on them to help you make decisions, and it does not align with who you are and what you want to accomplish in your life. So the second type of conformity is around normative conformity, which is you just do it because you want to fit in, and you know that it is wrong, you know that they are incorrect, you know that data does not support what they say is the direction to move in, but we would rather do the wrong thing than be rejected. We would rather do the wrong thing than be rejected. And that is again another level of danger when we think about group conformity and social influence. If you are in the wrong friend circles, no matter how above the influence you think you are, if that is where you sit, if that is where you settle, because you do not want to be rejected, you do not want to be ousted, you do not want to be othered, you don't want to feel like you don't belong anymore, you will cede to whatever that group is doing, even when you know it is the wrong thing. So things like that can be around unhealthy practices and behaviors. Things that literally put your life in jeopardy. Things that put your other relationships in jeopardy. And you just don't want to be rejected. I would take every other risk than the risk of standing up to my group of friends and being rejected. So we have to choose high quality friends aligned with values. We have to squad up as Lovey Ajayi Jones says, we have to squad up so that the squad can call us into a higher level of action. So if I am going to use the majority of my squad's vote on a particular thing, especially if they're unanimous, if that's what I'm likely to use to make a decision where I don't have enough information, I have to make sure that my squad consists of people who are wise. My squad consists of people who are dependable, whose principles are clear and aligned to my own. Because I run the risk of making poor decisions because of the people I'm depending on to give me guidance when I don't have all the information. So if the low quality friendships are the only friendships you have to check yourself. Why you only feel comfortable around low quality people, right? What about you make you feel comfortable around low quality people? But importantly, what are the missing qualities in this friend group? Because you don't have to throw away all the friends that you have just because they can't help you to pick a stock to invest in, right? Maybe that's not their strength. But if that's something that's important for you, how can I improve my access to people who can help me make these decisions? How can I build relationships with people who can help me make these decisions when I don't have all the information? So that's your responsibility. Check your friend groups to make sure that you are not leaning into the majority wisdom of people who nano wisdom. That's your job. And that's on the informational angle, the normative angle now, the people who will bully you into doing something that, let me not even say bully, right? Because sometimes they don't have to prod you. You just see them doing it. You're not so sure if it's the right thing to do, and it's something you did always want to do, but because they might do it and you want to fit in, you're going to do it. Many times that normative conformity isn't bad. It doesn't always have to be bad. But we can think of instances where it is bad, where you don't want to do it. You know it is the wrong thing to do and you do it anyway to fit in. That's clearly bad. They're playing and really screaming out there. But let's say you are not clear that this is a decision that you actually want to make. You don't know if it is good or bad. I'll give you an example. Stasia, again, right? So as many of you know, she's primarily raw fruits and vegetables in her diet. Me not really have no scientific research to know if this really worked at the time that she started. But I trust her. I believe that she will make good decisions. She's aligned with me on certain principles. And so even if I'm not sure if this is good or bad, I can be influenced with her to just fit in. So if we're at an event and they have fruits as the first thing on the menu, you know, sometimes we kind of picky about fruit and you wonder, you know, how long people have had these fruits run on the background of the fridge and on the fire paper. And if it tastes fresh, so I'm not take it, I'm wait till something have come out like a bowl of soup. If you're like me, just let me know, right? I'm kind of fussy about my fruits them. Sometimes when you go to events, the fruits don't fresh. Worst events at night time and you never buy the fruits, half an hour ago. You have it all day. Where was it? Right? So I usually bypass the fruits at meals. But Stacy's a fruit girl. Stacy says fruits of any kind. Once it is fresh fruits, once it have the seeds. Yes? Eat that. And even if you can't get the best Jamaican or tropically grown fruits, chances are the other option, the processed thing that is high in sugar, is going to do worse to your body than just taking up the fruits that you thought they had to put down there for 6 hours. That is better than the bread that's supposed to last you for 14 days. Like something up with that. You don't want a 14-hour-old fruit, but you have to eat a 10-day-old bread. Like, check yourself. Eat the fruit. So, I do what she does, not because, you know, it's a value of mine to eat a lot of fruits, but if she's doing it, I'm going to do it. Because I believe that she takes good decisions. And while I'm kind of flip-flopping here and don't have a preference at all, hadn't even thought about it, I model that good behavior. So imagine if she was a friend who did something else, right? What would I be modeling? What if she was a friend who believed that a shot of tequila first thing in the morning was good for the body? What would I be doing when we go out to eat? So we have to align. Now, it doesn't mean that that kind of conformity comes because you don't have a sense of self, you don't know how to choose for yourself, because that certainly could not be said of me. But I know the influence that her behavior has on me. And so sometimes I invite her, I want her there, I sit down beside her because I know I'm going to pick what she pick. Right? I'm going to pick it until I end up like it. I don't really like it now all the time, but I'm going to pick it until I enjoy it. So think about the people that you're surrounding yourself with, how you're defaulting and conforming to their practices, whether it's because you think that they have more information than you about a particular thing, or you've just been around them a lot, so it's easier to just go with whatever choice that it is that they have made, because that impacts you. I challenge you when you're thinking about your friend groups to ensure that there is alignment on principle, that there is wisdom in that friend group, that the values are also aligned, and that they can propel you in terms of your ambitions. Even if they don't go with you, their ambition or the ambition they have for you lines up. They see something in you and will guide you, direct you, give you the push and the fuel you need to move in that direction. Make sure that that's the quality of friendships that you've surrounded yourself with. If you don't know what you have, then you may have to do a friend audit, right? Or a squad audit, however you want to call it. But ensure that there's alignment on principles, wisdom, values, and the ambitions, just the shared ambitions for each other. Because people who do not want to see you move further than them can't be the ones that you're leaning on for advice and guidance. They may have helped you to a point, but they really can't manage seeing you go further. Can't be the kind of persons that you're leaning on for advice. Now, when you think about the normative conformity and the need for you to belong, remember that belonging is built on a couple of things. The first element of belonging is the definition of you. When you belong to a group, there's a definition of yourself that you adopt. Ensure that that group that you are conforming to and you want to belong to has an expansive definition of you. They don't just see you where you are forever. They don't just believe the limited information they have, or the no information they have, or the yesterday information they have. They have an expansive definition of you. So when you have limiting self-beliefs, they can challenge you to expand that definition because they see you for more than you might see yourself. Ensure too that that friend group can be part of confining you. And when I say confine, I don't mean in a negative way, because I just said they must have an expansive definition of who you are and what you can accomplish. But in terms of confining you, I'm talking about discipline. I'm talking about the ability to challenge you to stay in the lane that you committed to walk in, to keep you accountable, which is another component of the confining, right? Which is to challenge you as well. So they confine you around discipline. There are some things that ought to be done and some things that ought not to be done. There are things that are to be said and things that ought not to be said. There are places you are to be seen and places you are not to be seen. And they will ensure that you are disciplined. How you say you have this particular goal, and I see you putting that in your cup or putting that on your plate, going there with your money, spending your time in this way. This does not align with the goal. Where is the discipline? Make sure that you have friends who can help to keep you confined in terms of discipline, working within the parameters of the values that you say you have. And then ensure that you have friends who can challenge you. If none of your friends can talk to you, if none of your friends can call you one side and say, I disagree with this, you have a challenge of accountability in your relationships. And so it makes no sense to conform to people who have no intention of keeping you accountable. It makes no sense to try to be accepted and to fit in with people who will not challenge you to do more and to reach higher. But that's why I say it is a you job, right? Because you can't know that nobody can chat to you, and you still say that these are the only friends you have and you don't want any new friends. Who keeps you accountable? That's a you job that everybody's afraid of telling you the truth, of drawing you up, of sending you a text and asking to meet up with you at this time, of all in a reasoning, of saying, well, boy, this not look like what you did say you stand for. That's a you job. Friends who are dishonest with you, sometimes people just dishonest because snake in a grass, right? But other times they do not feel enabled and welcomed in their criticism, loving criticism of you. And they do not believe that you actually want to hear their perspective. Like you want to be surrounded by yes men and yes women. And they will give you that. Them love you, you know. But they too do not want to be rejected by you. They want to be a friend same way. So them not going to tell you the truth because you look like you can't handle the truth. You like when people tell you the things them in their ears will make you feel good. And so you can't grow because you are not challenged. Your friends remind you of no boundaries. Your friends set no boundaries with you. And so it's an almost free for all. So think about that. Do you have a high quality squad? Are you squadding up? One of the questions I had recommended asking is, what does your squad normalize, affirm, or inspire? Like, what is normal behavior for your squad? What is regular average behavior for your squad? What does your squad take for granted? Like when I laugh and talk about things, what are the things that you're laughing and talking about? At the beginning of the year, what to do? At the end of the year, what to do? When it comes on to goals and ambitions, like what is normal? What is normal for your squad? There's some things that are just not normal for my squad. Like if we start doing them something, we notice something wrong. If we see somebody listening to the squad start doing, we notice something is off. Our squad normalizes accountability. Our squad normalizes quality time with friends and friendships. Our squad normalizes truth telling in a compassionate way. That's all my squad rule. My squad normalizes big ambition. So if you're there on way and that's not your normal, you're going to feel uncomfortable. But we're not going to change our normal to make you comfortable. So you have to come and know, say, you have to conform to that, right? What does your squad normalize? Complaining or planning? Victimhood or being the champion of your own story and the narrator of your own story? Waiting and wanting or working very hard? What is normal for your squad? What do they affirm about you when they talk about you and who you are? Like, what are the things that they're saying? How them respond when something good happens to you? How them respond when you're in a bad spot? Is their first order of business to run in and try to help you, to run in and offer resources, to ask how I can help, or to remind you about all of the ways in where you did make mistake from a long time, and you know what you reap is what you sow? Is that normal? Like, to remind you how wrong you are and how undeserving you are? What does your squad normalize? Untouchable Melissa says, that's so funny. I held someone accountable for laughing at something particularly. Yeah, I wasn't okay with what they thought was a joke. Absolutely. And remember, sometimes, because you will have different friend groups, there are friends who know you from a long time when your values were at a certain level, when the interests you had were of a certain level, and you've grown. Those friends don't have an obligation to grow with you, but you have an obligation to indicate when your values have changed. We can still hang out, we can still laugh, we can still come over for dinner because, you know, there's something that tightens us beyond this one thing that I've grown out of. But I'm also going to tell you that, you know, I don't find that funny anymore. I don't go to those places anymore. I don't enjoy this anymore. My stomach no, you know, set up for them something anymore. I don't believe in this anymore. Life has taught me. I'm a learn. So the me that I didn't know 30 years ago is not the me that you're going to know now. So it's also has to be a friendship where there is room for you to say where you have grown and what is no longer a very authentic reflection of yourself and your values. And there has to be room for that. There has to be room for growth. And if they don't accept it, well, you know, so that is not the friend that you carry to church. Yeah, you used to go to the club with them, but now you go to church. You're not going to carry one they got church, right? You're not going to talk the church up the brother one year. You're not going to, you understand? This person you're going to talk about food. This person you're going to bring around when it's time for dinner and family get together and all them something. You can know the boundaries that you set. There's no one friend who has a duty to be your friend for all seasons, for all your interests, for all your tasks, for everything where you go. No. We're lucky if we have one friend who we can do every single solitary thing with, who will be interested in hearing about every single solitary aspect of our lives. It is rare. Almost doesn't happen. But if you have it, big up you. If you don't have it, it's not a crime. It means you have room to build another type of friendship or set of social connections. So what does my squad normalize or affirm? Important question to ask and answer. Don't just ask the question. Don't just say, oh, that's a good question. Answer it. What does my squad normalize? What does my squad normalize? Second question, where do I see myself and who is already there and open to teaching me how to get there? That's a part of helping you to squad up, to expand your squad, to build new squad connections. Where do I see myself? And who is there and open to teaching me how to get there? Some friendships are able to get started in professional spaces, mentorship spaces, work spaces, right? Some friendships can start in those contexts. And then the third question around expanding and building up your squad. Who sees me and is committed to helping me expand how I see myself? So there are some persons who see the best in you, right? They believe resolutely in what you can do. And they are also offering themselves all the time to help you get there. Who are those people? And can I give myself greater access to them, give them greater access to me so I can improve and expand or squad up in terms of my social connections? And then, of course, the opposite is what you ask when you're trying to figure out if it's time to detox that squad. So the same questions, instead of asking who sees me, you can ask who does not see me. Who does not see me and is not committed to helping me expand how I see myself. Who doesn't see me? Who do I feel unsafe with? Who makes me feel like I'm not being heard? Who makes me feel that I'm always at risk of being rejected if I don't do what they say, how they say it? Who does not see me? Who does not hear me? Who does not show up to reinforce and protect me? Who does not protect my name when I'm in the room? And is it time to relieve myself of those friendships? Squad audit time, if those questions are resonating with you. So, just want to remind you, as I say, your peeps, your paris are an important component of creating the momentum you need by fueling you as you move through life. But they can also be the difference. As a result, I shouldn't have said but, and they can also be the difference between you standing in your potential and standing in your purpose. So be deliberate about squatting up. Be deliberate about curating the squad. Be deliberate about squad audits to make sure that you're giving yourself the best possible circle, the best possible environment to uncover and discover who you are in a way that is safe, to land softly in moments of hardships, because sometimes we're going to buckle down, we're going to drop, but is there a place where we can land softly, where we can be vulnerable, where we can get the support we need, or at least a shoulder and an ear? And also to expand, to grow, to be challenged, to learn, to be pulled, to be taught, to reach beyond our grasp. That's the power of friendship. So yeah, we're gonna have some mimosas, and of course we're gonna have some fruit juices here, Stasia, because sometimes I have a little fruit juice and some coconut water with her, right? So yeah, sometimes we're gonna do the mimosas, and sometimes we're gonna have our coconut water. There's room for all of that celebration. There's room for the vacays. There's room for the jet setting and the flying to new places and just living our best life. There's definitely room for that. But please make sure you have big room for the friendships that challenge you, expand you, where necessary, confine you to a space of discipline and accountability, places where you feel safe, seen, and heard. So let me just scroll through quickly and see if there are any questions. I know sometimes I jump off at the speed of light, and there are questions that I miss them. So I'm just checking one more time to see if there are any questions. Cookies_JJ says facts, but this has a lot to do with upbringing and parenting, not bashing, but we as parents really need to empower our kids so they can stand firm in decision making. Absolutely. And I find one of the best ways to empower children is helping them to define for themselves the values. Like, what do you value? Do you value kindness? How is that expressed? And since you say you value this kindness, does this decision align with that kindness value? Did what you do to that friend align with the kindness value? And how do you get back in alignment with your values? But as an anchor, I find values, principles, to be very solid groundings that you can help to bring people back to, children, whether your children are adult, and organizations. Do we have a common ground, a shared understanding and principle on how we want to operate and what our actions should lead us to, where our actions should lead us to? So yeah, I find principles to be critical. All right, so thank you guys so much for joining. I hope this was good for you. Please listen, because sometimes you guys jump off without hearing, right? Please listen. I'm going to share this video to my page, and then maybe like an hour and a half, I'll delete it from my Instagram page, and then I'll put it to YouTube, which allows me to have a proper index of all my Good Gas Mondays. I can type it properly. You can go in and search Good Gas Mondays. You can search for a particular episode. This one I'm going to title How to Squad Up, and you'd know what that is. So when you see it go up, you can click the Linktree link in my bio, and it will take you to this recent video. And for every other Good Gas Mondays video or live that I've done, it's on my YouTube page. You can go and check them out. You can binge watch it as part of your summer wind down or wind up. If you're like me, you're looking for the wind up. But just letting you know, if you come on the page in like 2 hours and you know you saw it, but then you don't see it again, it is on YouTube at Krystal Tomlinson. So thank you again for joining and for tuning in. And I want to just reiterate one more time. Your peeps can be the deciding factor between whether you stand in your potential or stand in your purpose. Surround yourself by people who will fuel you. And if you don't have fueling friendships as yet, that's not an excuse to not squad up. You can determine in your mind what principles you're looking for in your friendships. You can set very clear expectations and values, and you can find friendships that align with those. But that's a you job and a you task. Don't give up on it because you've made some errors in judgment before. Don't give up on it because some friends have betrayed you before. Your friends are fuel. And if you have none, you're losing the magic of that fuel. If you have bad gas and bad energy in your friendship circles, you're losing out on the magic of that friend fuel. So get clear about what you want from your friendships, what you are willing to give to your friendships, and begin to pursue in a very deliberate way the kinds of people who see you, who value you, and who invite you into an expansive definition of yourself, which includes accountability, because that's what allows your friends to tell you the truth. And if they can't be honest with you, it's going to be hard for you to step into that expansive vision of yourself. Take good care and have a great week. Thanks for joining me for another Good Guess Mondays. I'm here every Monday. The time will fluctuate, but I'm holding it down on a Monday with you right here on Instagram. And of course, if you've missed any of the videos before, want to catch up on previous episodes, check me out on YouTube at Krystal Tomlinson. Take care, guys.